So today we're discussing Parliament, what exactly Parliament is and how it works. George, you are the Chief Whip of the DA in Parliament. And oftentimes we hear the Chief Whip this, the Chief Whip that. Sounds like you're just whooping people left, right and center.
I'm not as...
And do you have a whip in your office?
I don't talk out of my office.
A shambo. What is Parliament, George?
Parliament is effectively the representative of the people. It holds the executive to account on behalf of the people. So we scrutinise what ministers do and don't do, and we make laws. It's as simple as that. The people vote for members of Parliament who represent them and are their voices. And that's what we should be. We are the voice of the people.
Hello, South Africa. My name is Nazley, Sharif, and welcome to the DA's final podcast for the year, the end of season 1. I am joined by the DA's Chief Whip in the National Assembly, George Michalakis. I am joined by the NCOP leader. You see, I've got your name in my head, you know. George is stuck. Dennis Ryder, welcome to the podcast. And of course, my co-host and also the Deputy Chief Whip in Parliament, Nodada. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we all feeling today? I'll start with you, George, since you're constantly on my mind.
Well, it's the last week of the year, and I think we had a very, very good last 2 weeks. So the year's ending on a high note. I'm feeling very, very excited. And of course, the end of the year, looking forward to that. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Dennis, how are you today?
Well, some people get to finish soon. Others of us have to stick around a little bit longer. But I can promise you, Naz, you're not going to get Georged by me. I wouldn't be that rude to anyone. But I really am so happy to join you today and looking forward to it. But yeah, it's been a long, tough year. But that last little carrot dangling in a couple of weeks' time is going to be most welcome.
Bax, can you believe 25 episodes later? And here we are doing our final one for season 1.
It's been amazing. It's been a solid year. It's the end of the final episode, end of season 1. Looking forward, obviously, to season 2. It's a massive milestone for us. As much as I'm irritable, it's the end of the year. Can't wait to wear my shorts and go to the beach. But you know, we're trying to push through the last few days that are left. And it's been amazing.
And then we brought you here in a suit and a tie.
Yeah, no, you know, one thing about George in Parliament, he makes sure that we must wear a tie here. So today I just don't want to disappoint. And today he's out of a tie. He's like, you know what? See my chest.
I got hair on my chest.
You have to have hair on your chest for this job.
Okay, so today we're discussing Parliament and what exactly Parliament is and how it works. And so I'm going to jump straight to it. What is Parliament, George?
Well, Parliament is effectively the representative of the people. It holds the executive to account on behalf of the people. So we scrutinise what ministers do and don't do. And we make laws. It's as simple as that. It gets very complicated if you go into the technical details. But ultimately, the people vote for members of Parliament who represent them and are their voices. And that's what we should be and should always go back to that specific position. We are the voice of the people. Whether Parliament has been effective in doing that for the last 30 years and more, obviously, is a different question. I think we are making a bit of inroads in being more effective in that, but ultimately, I think Parliament is the voice of the people, and we certainly, from our side, try to represent not only our own voters, but even the many people who might have voted differently, but still are worthy of having robust and effective members of Parliament representing them and fighting on their behalf. And so we do.
Yeah. Dennis, we have two houses that make up Parliament, right? We have the National Assembly and then we have the National Council of Provinces. What is that?
We call it the Klein Huisie.
Okay.
Well, it is the Klein Huisie. It's a much smaller house, and I think that so very similar to the way that that example, in Britain, they've got the House of Commons and the House of Lords.
Okay.
In the States, they've got the House of Representatives and the Senate that make up the Congress. So we're the second chamber of Parliament. We are, in the National Council of Provinces, a much smaller group of people. So there's only 54 of us that are permanent members. We also joined by 4 members from each province, MPLs, members of the provincial legislature, from time to time to make up our complement of a total of 90 people. But yeah, just to take George's answer to the first discussion a little bit further, I think Parliament is very much where ideas get discussed and different points of view are put forward. And the NCOP, the National Council of Provinces, is an important place where points of view from different provinces get to be properly interrogated. So it's quite interesting. We've got 2 real roles that we play in the NCOP. One is as the senatorial role, so that kind of supposed to be more sober, less politicized second check on legislation that gets passed through the National Assembly. But the other role, which is probably a more prominent one, and because our name includes the provinces in it, is we put forward ideas and different perspectives from different provinces. Now, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I went to the Eastern Cape, Bax's home province. I mean, I was from Gauteng, and I had if not a world view, I had a South African view of how things should work and how local government worked, and I was an expert, you know. And then I went to the Eastern Cape, and I just thought, man, this place is bizarre, you know. I've got no idea how to get into government in this space. So it's so important that in our lawmaking processes, and we find this with our laws, is that so often the people that are putting stuff together are the guys that have, you know, kind of grown up in Johannesburg or Pretoria or Cape Town, and they don't have that view of the different provinces.
For sure.
So when you go out there and you get these different perspectives, man, it drops on you. And then, you know, suddenly your eyes open. So it's honestly to discuss these different perspectives, become aware, so that our decision-making becomes better on behalf of South African people ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, I think also for like an ordinary South African who was wondering, okay, there's a National Assembly, there's the National Council of Provinces, there's Parliament. There are things that affect them on a day-to-day basis that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So, for example, for a department like social development to have a budget to give to a social grant worker, that particular budget has to go through Parliament, as an example. Or for a school to be built in a particular community when it's not built, or a road needs to be built, that budget from cooperative governance or from basic education has to go into, you know, Parliament to put water and pipes. All of that particular revenue ultimately has to be approved by these members of Parliament who are representatives of the people. So even laws that you and I have to follow on a day-to-day basis, you know, we have to make them in Parliament and ratify in the National Council of Provinces for them to be applied, you know, for our day-to-day living. So it's a very important, part of the state. In fact, there's no other place beyond Parliament that you can go to, because that's where the president is elected. That's where ministers are selected. And ultimately, it's our responsibility to make sure that whatever they promise to the people, to govern for the people, we hold them accountable. If we need to adjust laws to make it, you know, easier for South Africans to benefit from those services, we must do that. We must play our oversight responsibility to make sure you were supposed to do this. Did you actually do it? Why did you not do it? You know, what is your plan to fix it? And that is basically the role of the two houses, just to look at what government needs to do at a ministerial level nationally, the responsibility of the different provinces and even local government, which is, closer to the people. So I think for South Africans, sometimes we throw these words around and, they don't know what they mean. But I mean, I think it's basically summarized, in that way.
Yeah.
But that's what makes Parliament so exciting, because there's not an important issue in this country that doesn't at some point reach Parliament and get discussed there. So one day you'll be dealing with an issue in the Justice Committee, the next day with social development, and we all get in contact with all of these issues. We bring it from our constituencies back, and you get exposed to all the problems that people face on a day-to-day basis. You get to meet so many people, wonderful people across the country, see places that you ordinarily wouldn't have seen. And then the most important thing is the decisions that are made there have such a massive and ripple effect. So you can, if you do good, can do good on a massive scale. But the flip side is also true. If you make a mess of it, it has a negative ripple effect that reaches the corners of the country as well. But that, for me, is what makes Parliament so exciting. It's on such a large scale and so interesting because it's real issues, and you can actually really make a lovely difference by getting it right.
Yeah, and we hope everybody who sits in those houses is there for the reason to make a difference in people's lives. Now, George, you are the chief whip of the DA in Parliament. And oftentimes we hear the chief whip this, the chief whip that. But what exactly is a chief whip? Because it sounds like you're just whipping people left, right, and center.
You don't know what the chief whip is by now.
No, please tell us. Please tell us, what is the chief whip?
I'm not as.
And do you have a whip in your office?
I don't talk out of my office.
A shambo.
You might just have 2 or 3.
Okay.
What happens in the chief whip's office stays in the chief.
It depends what transgression you know. Depends which one he pulls out on the day.
Oh, goodness.
No. Ultimately, I mean, it's the management of the caucus. We make sure that the right members speak on the right topics, that we always have someone who's prepared, that they say the right things, make a constructive contribution. We manage the internal relationships in the caucus, whether it is taking leave or whether you are supposed to be stationed in a specific place to go and fulfill a specific duty, assigning them to portfolios, the day-to-day management.
Okay.
And then obviously also, I mean, Parliament, what people often forget is a very lonely place. I mean, you leave oftentimes your family somewhere else in the country. You travel alone to Parliament. It's just the group of us. We become quite close. And ultimately, it becomes a very lonely place where you have your family on the other side of the country. And that has a few challenges. And obviously, if members then struggle with those issues, they come to myself and Bax. I feel sorry for them in some instances, and to Dennis if they're in the NCOP. And we make sure that they're okay. We make sure that they're able to fulfill their functions, that they can still take care of their families and balance that life whilst they fulfill their calling of coming to Parliament. Not all members of Parliament from all political parties are as passionate about the calling of serving as a public representative, but I can safely say from our caucus side we have some pretty passionate people. But then you pay the price, obviously, as well, of neglecting your loved ones on the other side, but also making sure that they have offices, that they have the resources to be able to fulfill their duty and do a decent job. So all of that ultimately falls within the Chief Whip's office. Yeah, and just making sure that everyone does what they're supposed to do.
George, you were speaking about the type of situation MPs find themselves in, traveling all across the country, leaving their family behind. And one of the things we've always asked our guests is, how do you balance that work and family life? Because it's very difficult, especially like for me, for example. So what type of person does it take to make a successful MP?
Well, Bax and Dennis might have different views. I do believe that you have to be someone who can, especially in Parliament, someone who can function independently. Parliament is a very, very lonely place. You have to be able to look after yourself. And obviously be able to do what you have been brought here to do without too much, I think, induction help, all of that. There isn't really much time for that. You get thrown in at the deep end and you have to swim. I believe Parliament lives. So if you are not kind to Parliament, she will chew you up and spit you out and sort you out. Those MPs don't last. But then you get people who are extremely passionate and really love the place, and you can see that passion and love for the place come forward. It shows in the work that people do. People who don't need to be checked on the whole time, who can actually take an issue and run with it. And obviously, I mean, help always is there in Parliament for those who ask. But there's a very interesting story I recall of a colleague from the Free State who was in the middle of the term came in, and everyone thought he was sorted out with a house until someone walked past and said, "Well, where are you sleeping tonight?" And he said, "Well, I mean, I have my little couch in my office." And they said, "No, you're sleeping with us for the next 2-3 months because there wasn't a place in Acacia Park." So you get by and you look after each other in Parliament, but ultimately you have to function independently. You have to function as an individual.
Yeah.
No one's going to
go-getter.
I think
no one's
also,
going to nurture and baby you.
Be a go-getter.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, for you to be in Parliament, it requires people that are selfless. And understand that the cause is bigger than them. And that's probably why you leave your family behind, like George is saying. And most importantly, remember that you're in the business of changing people's lives for the better. That's your day-to-day bread, it's a daily bread. And it requires you to navigate a very lonely place at times, a very noisy place at times. And remember that, you're fighting for certain people to change their lives for the better in whatever shape or form, and the issues that you actually take up. And like George is saying, like, support is there. I mean, that's our responsibility, in our office to say, okay, guys, what support can we give you for you to be able to execute your job on behalf of the cause that we're here to serve? And if, for example, people maybe lose track of what they need to do, it's a reminder that, you're here to help and serve people, right?
Yeah.
So these are the issues that affect South Africans. People are unemployed, people don't have basic services, municipalities are failing, some children are still dying in pit toilets. These are the things that you, as a member of Parliament, a representative of the people, must constantly be occupied in your mind, and what solutions you can put in place for those things, and use the mechanisms available to you in Parliament to represent the people, whether it's delivering a speech or, asking a question of a specific minister, or delivering a member statement after you've done an oversight. Like Dennis said, that you went to the Eastern Cape, saw horrible, horrific things that are different from what he's used to.
Yeah.
And it becomes your responsibility. So it requires a member of Parliament that understands that you must be selfless, number one, but number two, you're in the business of changing people's lives for the better, and that's what must occupy.
I think it's important to pick up that, and what we were saying before we even started here, the number of different hats that most MPs wear.
Yeah.
And the fact is, when you see people in the chamber, on TV, that's the perception most people get of Parliament. But that's just kind of the culmination of a whole process that's happened. And MPs also have to be committee MPs. So each committee is allocated to portfolios where they have to go in and look at the work of different departments, where they have to go and look at the budgets and also the targets that departments set for themselves, and whether those are being met. But take it one step further, and you've got to go to your constituency as well. So each MP has to be in their constituency. So, I mean, there's only so many days a week. Most MPs are in Parliament in Cape Town for at least 3, normally 4 days of the week. You've also got responsibilities in your constituency, and then to find time for those relationships at home as well. So the balance is massive. And I mean, believe me, the voters want you to be, dealing with their issues in your constituency as well. They want to see their MPs. They want people to be out there in the streets and taking up the issues. So it does take, as George said, it takes someone that can get down and get on with things on their own without having to be guided and led. But it also requires a massive support network in Parliament. It requires support in your constituency as well, and it requires a lot of support from home.
Definitely.
And I think that those are often the unsung heroes of Parliament, is the family that sits at home and puts up with our nonsense when we get home on a Saturday and we're grumpy and tired from not enough sleep. And the time that we give them is not always the best quality.
I also think there are 2 important things that need to drive you. I mean, the one is passion, because most of the hard work doesn't get seen. And the other one is empathy. Some injustice has to make you angry.
Absolutely.
If you don't get angry by what you see on a day-to-day basis, what ordinary South Africans out there have to live through, then you're not in the right place. Those two things, passion and empathy, have to drive you. The best MPs all have those two characteristics, I would say.
Awesome. Check.
I mean, with that, just that's actually very powerful. George, just speaking about that, things that can make us angry as members of Parliament and have to deal with.
Yeah.
How has the DA in Parliament actually started protecting or fighting for issues that affect South Africans?
Well, we started this year with a budget with a very, very nice VAT fight. And the reason that fight was so important was that it actually showed what we've been saying for many, many years, that our opposition have been denying, that the DA is the party that fights for ordinary South Africans, for poor South Africans. If it wasn't for that VAT fight, you would have seen ordinary products in the supermarket costing a whole lot more. People who already cannot afford to put bread on the table having to pay more for that. It was a necessary fight. It was an important fight. And ironic in the sense that other people say we're an elitist party. Ironically, it was the DA fighting for poor South Africans. And I think that was an incredibly important fight to fight. It was fundamental because it lay the foundation for the two budgets that followed. Dennis is on the Finance Committee, so he has a lot more knowledge about what happened in those budgets.
A lot more grey hair as well.
But those budgets lay the foundation for the next few years. And Asher was absolutely brilliant in his contribution as Deputy Minister of Finance to make sure that we turn this economy around. It doesn't at this point really resonate or I would say result in tangible things immediately. But over the long run, people are becoming more prosperous because of the fight that the DA fought. So
just imagine where that cost of living would be now if we hadn't have won that fight. And it was absolutely the right fight to take on. And had we not done so, people are struggling as it is. And had we not taken that fight on and won it, I think South Africans, the average South African wouldn't be in the position that they are now.
So Dennis, I want to ask you, because, when we looked at the media, it was a lot from Parliament, from the NA, from the National Assembly, speaking about it. We had our spokesperson, Mark Burke, doing incredible work, our Deputy Minister, Asher, doing incredible work. But how did the NCOP, the National Council of Provinces, play a role in that fight against the VAT increase?
So it kind of depends how much detail you want to get into there on that one. But the way that finance bills are processed through Parliament is unusual and different from most other bills, because we end up processing, I think, 7 or 8 bills each year through the finance committees. Most other committees would get 1 a year, 2 a year.
A bill is a law, by the way, guys. So.
In case nobody knows what a bill is.
So, there's a thing called the Money Bills Amendment Procedures.
You're going to put us all to sleep now.
I'll put you all to sleep. Now you got me on one of my favorite topics. So,
I love that.
But
passion, you see, George?
Passion,
Passion.
I'm better at being angry than the passion part. So, but
he's not angry at us, man.
Not yet, at least.
So we actually work very much in concert and together with the guys from the National Assembly committees. So Mark is the spokesperson, as you correctly pointed out, and he's done a fantastic job of leading us as a crowd. The majority of our meetings are joint meetings between the two houses.
So you have, so there's something like joint meetings?
Absolutely, 100%. So we spend a lot of time together, and it was kind of that misfire of the fiscal framework that came up right up front. It was one of the first misfires in the budget that came out, and that was specifically one of my colleagues, Henny Brits, and myself, fighting that attempt by another party. I don't know if we're allowed to mention their name.
No, definitely. Go for it.
But when Action SA came with one of their new MPs trying to
let's not go there.
reorganize a process that is laid down in terms of law, and just saying, let's just do it like this, because of his inexperience.
All the MPs are new MPs, and it shows.
Sorry?
I said all their MPs are new MPs, and it shows.
Well, absolutely. And it's quite
No
dangerous.
shade, all truth.
Quite dangerous because, I mean, it nearly led us down the garden path. And so, yeah, I think the joint committees, we support each other tremendously in that. But, yeah, finance bills are very different and handled in a very different way from normal laws that are passed.
But the bottom line is that those finance bills go and affect people's pockets.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, how much you pay for electricity, how many groceries you're able to take home, if that 2% VAT increase went ahead, it means the amount of groceries you buy or the electricity you buy at the shop or your baby food or clothes for the children would have gone up by 2%. So less and less food on the table, less electricity in the box for you to be able to use, and less clothes for your kids or baby food. So to the ordinary South African who maybe did not understand what is this VAT increase, you know, it is exactly that the money in your pocket would have been less and you've been paying for things more expensive that you use on a day-to-day basis. And it's this type of law that, you know, in the Finance Committee that, you know, Parliament deals with, that we have that responsibility as representatives of the people to say this is not good for the people. It's going to make them, you know, poorer. It's going to make them starve more. And we will fight this, you know, tooth and nail, you know, and we did it in Parliament. Other parties voted for an increase, you know, of VAT. And it was a DA that stood firm, you know, alone. And we took this fight to court. We said, there's absolutely no way that poor South Africans are going to bear the brunt of corruption and maladministration from the past 30 years. And it's a first of its kind. I mean, it's the first that and I think you know, it's one of the things that when you say, George, what makes you angry as an MP, what makes us angry in the DA, it's these type of things. If you had to make the DA a person, it's these type of things that are, you know, that make us angry. But corruption is also there, you know. The lotteries tender, you know, scandal that is there. These are some of the things that, you know, the DA has taken up in Parliament. What does that mean, you know?
Well, I mean, what I wanted to say just now with regards to the budget, but it's equally important for any other issue, is when that increase hits, it hits the poorest first.
Yes.
When the crime hits, it hits the most vulnerable people first. Those are the people most affected by these various problems, and that is why it's so important. Oftentimes, people who don't have they have a voice of their own, but it's not often heard, and it is our job to make sure that it does get heard and it does get amplified. I think with regards to so many other issues, you mentioned the lottery now, the corruption. I mean, Glenys Breitenbach brought a private members bill to bring in the Scorpions 2.0.
What is a private members bill, George?
A private members bill. That's a very good question. I mean, we're so into the lingo, but most people out there don't quite get to do with it every single day. A private members bill is a law that any member of Parliament can bring to Parliament. It's a proposal from any one of the 400 in the NA or the 54 in the NCOP that says, I want to bring this proposal of a law. The committees consider it. Obviously, there's politics involved. So in the past, when the ANC had the majority, if an opposition member brings a legislative proposal, they will vote it down because you would obviously want your ministers to rather bring the proposal. It's a bit different now. The ANC doesn't have the majority on the committees anymore, but we now have ministers as well. So we oftentimes can now bring private members' bills to a minister and say, well, take it to cabinet or have a discussion with the ANC. But ultimately what it is that every single member of Parliament has the right to bring proposals for laws to the floor of the House. And then it goes through the same process as any other proposal for a law would do. And Glenys's proposal was to do exactly that, to
fight corruption,
and to re-establish or to establish a Scorpions 2.0. That was one of the
a lot of people don't know what the Scorpions actually did or what they did, you know, in the past. Maybe you can explain that why the law is so important.
Well, the law aims essentially to be able to investigate and fight corruption. That is what it is in the simplest form. I think it is quite important that we also, in the process, capacitate our law enforcement, the NPA, the police, to be able to deal with these issues. So that is what it ultimately aims to do, is to give teeth and also capacity, resources to a unit that can actually investigate this, because the current criminal justice system and all its components is unfortunately not capable of dealing with the large-scale corruption that we're facing.
Yeah, I mean, when the Scorpions were first around, I mean, that was exactly what they were able to do, is to really target the big crimes and get into the serious issues and follow it through. They had the capabilities to follow it through from just, allegations all the way through to making sure that a conviction was achieved.
They were effective. That's why they were shut down.
All their teeth were taken away by Jacob Zuma. I mean, they were disbanded.
I mean, we all know why.
And that's why they were replaced by the Hawks, which have not been as effective at all. And that's why it needs to come back and really get to the heart of fighting corruption.
So, Dennis, do members of the NCOP also have the opportunity to do private members' bills?
We do. We're far more restricted in what we can do.
Okay.
And bills, acts, laws are divided into different categories by the Constitution. And specifically, we can only, as members of the NCOP, bring in bills that directly affect provinces. So they fall under Section 76 of the Constitution. But slightly narrower focus, but certainly we've got the same capacity. And in those instances, it's actually the National Assembly that has the second view. So it's no longer a upper house, lower house. It's a second house, first house, second house point of view.
Okay, that's really interesting how everything sort of works together and in tandem with each other, because we know we have different, so like you said, you have bills that affect provinces specifically that have to go to the NCOP, and then bills that just focus, on a broader scale that will only work in the NA. So it's very interesting, and for us, we don't always understand how Parliament works exactly. So thank you for bringing that out. Now, George, we also have the Ad Hoc Committee. Where
Why are you
they
talking
are
to me
looking.
so much?
Yeah, because I like to talk to you a lot.
You're in her head. She made this very clear.
From the jump.
I don't know which whip you're going to get out of it, but I mean.
No, hopefully it's pink. Just
Oh my God.
So tell us a little bit about this ad hoc committee that we're watching on TV, that everybody's glued to their screens. I mean, some of the characters that are coming to that ad hoc committee, I just want to hide in shame.
I'm going to delegate that question to the Deputy Chief Whip. What I can say is that we did, and this is not by design, but we absolutely also did our service for the country in serving some entertainment through putting Glenys on that portfolio.
Oh, she's doing such an amazing
celebrity.
job.
What a great job.
Wow.
It's like Tabu Bester all over again. They, between her and Ian Cameron, obviously, we've got Diana Cola-Barnard there as well, Lisa Schikkerling, who's from the Northern Cape. She's a first-term MP, but doing a fantastic job. And then Glenys's Deputy Damien Klopper. The five of them have worked day in and day out, really over the past while. I also am quite excited to hear that in the investigation, as these allegations get brought before Parliament and Parliament tests it ultimately on the corruption within the police, that the different parties also talk to each other and prepare and have discussions and have, in many instances, a common objective of trying to get to the bottom of what is going on in our police service. And I am happy to see that a lot of the conversations that are being facilitated is done by our own members in that committee.
Yeah, they're doing
I don't know, Bax, what do you think of their performance?
Look, I mean,
and Bax, also tell us some of the allegations that have come out of this ad hoc committee, because it's pretty scary if you're a South African citizen and you're watching and you're saying, oh my God, the people who are meant to serve and protect us, it goes rotten to rotten
It's
to
not
rotten.
surprising.
So, I mean, above and beyond the fact that we're saying we're protecting South Africans, this is precisely part of our responsibility. We fought VAT, we won that battle. Now we're busy fighting corruption. And the allegations there is basically the South African Police Service has been captured by a drug mafia syndicate at the top levels of the police. And that is why, as the DA, we were that party when the Minister of Police came to Parliament and said, well, I don't know this Brown Mokhodze character. And then later on, well, he's my comrade. Well, I kind of know him. He maybe booked accommodation for me. And when I went to the January, well, I'm not sure, but maybe.
Yeah.
We were the first ones to go and open a case against the minister. And I think within the day, 5 hours later, the president suspended, acted, whatever he did. But point is, we started acting against that corruption. Then we pushed to make sure that ad hoc committee actually is set up to thoroughly investigate those allegations and get to the bottom of the rot in the police. Because at the end of the day, the police are the very same people that are supposed to be fighting against crime
frontline
in the streets, preventing gender-based violence, and various things that are happening in our country that are terrible. And I can only imagine South Africans are watching this thing in awe, and people say, well, I didn't mean immediately, but immediately maybe means next week, and you have different characters in that. But I think our team, in that particular ad hoc committee has been thoroughly solid and trying to get to the bottom of what exactly has happened here, who has captured the South African Police Service, who's responsible for the rot, and let's get those people out and make sure that we fix that particular security cluster so that South Africans feel safe again, and that's part of what the DA has done to protect South Africans, to fight against this corruption that is happening in the South African Police Service. And it's been there's some people that I've watched there. It's just, I don't know where we find some of these people.
No,
honestly.
it's shocking. They must have had magic mushrooms before they go there, because that's the only way that I can explain
There's one
it.
magic mushroom. Okay, never mind.
but it's sorry, Dennis, but it's not only the police service. I'm not a fan of ad hoc committee, but the reason why we ultimately agreed to it is because it cuts across. It should be the portfolio committee on police dealing with it. If it was only a police issue,
Matter.
but it cuts across the whole criminal justice system.
does.
Yes.
And that's why ad hoc committee is important, that you can have members from different portfolios there. But that indicates the extent of the rot that needs to be dealt with. And I think in that instance, it's been quite effective. I think they've been doing a fantastic job. Quite proud of them.
Dennis, it's very scary, and I always say, what happens in the dark will always come out in the light.
Yeah, this is like...
And, one thing about what we expect from our public reps is, in the least, is to be truthful and to be honest people. And even if you made rubbish and nonsense, have the integrity to come out and speak about the truth. What is your take on that?
What we're seeing now is just explaining so much, because South Africans have all been claiming or complaining that we've seen a total breakdown in the rule of law. And now we're starting to understand why. Because suddenly, 500,000 rand. Oh, I gave him 500,000. Good heavens. That kind of cash exchanging hands. Okay. I just gave it to him because. No, it's crazy. And the excellent questioning that our members have been pursuing in that committee, the way that they are exposing people, because, you look at these guys that are coming in, they've come with this absolute arrogance to start with, and to actually see them get broken down as you ask them questions that they have to answer, that they don't have an answer to, and they get caught out time and again. And I just think it's really good work, and I've been amazed by the work ethic of our colleagues as well, because believe me, they don't arrive there in the morning and think, well, what should I ask today? Okay. There's a strategy that they follow, they work it out.
Peak performance.
There's so much homework that goes into it.
And they just get shocked with Woolies bags in between.
Absolutely,
I saw this post that Woolies bags are going to change colors.
One thing about Woolies, they will not waste their time. They've changed the color of the bag, because that thing apparently gave Bekele some money for him and his slay queens and whatnot.
Now we must all suffer because
No,
of
it's fine.
Bekele.
Now
they're going to see what we're shopping there in Woolworths. It's nobody's business.
It's more transparent. Eh?
Yeah, it's more transparent now.
I saw this cartoon with Bekele in the Woolies bag, and I just thought, that's not a Woolies product. Woolies products are normally of a far better quality. Shameless pun,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about some of your highlights and also your lowlights, because we're talking about honesty. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent. I'm going to start with you, Bax, because George has a problem with me starting with him, and he's right here on my left.
Yeah.
So, Bax, what are your highlights and your lowlights?
I'm glad I'm
Give me one or two of each, not too many.
No, it's fine. I'm glad at least I'm in your mind now, Miss.
Yes. Front and center.
I think one of my highlights, for me personally, is somebody that I work in a rural, deep, constituency where people actually live a life of poverty, was the Deputy President actually finally exceeding that we need to have an economic inclusion discussion rather than having BE for the connected few, which has landed a lot of these guys to the ad hoc committee anyways, with some brands that I don't think even as MPs would afford even as underwear. But
can you imagine? So I just want to go there because I was so shook how this guy comes in full Burberry the one day and then Fendi in the second day. We were doing door-to-door in Ward 90 because we had a by-election recently, and we went to these massive houses, and I said I could never live here because I'm an honest MP, and only corrupt people can afford to live in such big houses. It's wild.
So this guy came in there with the full Burberry, the guy that stripped money of the Tembisa hospital. When people are supposed to go to hospital to get help, they come back in coffins, and it's because of people like that do that. So for the first time, when the Deputy President said, look, let's have a discussion about this. We agree with you. It's not inclusive enough. Because the ordinary person that I help on a day-to-day basis does not benefit from redress. And unfortunately, they were affected by what, apartheid and, colonialism did, in shaping our own society. So that was one of the highlights for me. The low one is the one we just discussed now. I know so many people that have been victims of crime, not just that, but like sexual, gender-based violence crime, where police were just not responsive, So it's just been one of my lowlights to say, how did we get here? Like, how the hell did we get here as a country where we've just stripped everything, and people can go to a Kuruleni and tell the chief to do that, and go to, our entire minister, he says he was sober on the 31st of December when he took that decision. Damn, he was not sober. There's some water, he can have this for this December, because I'm sure you'll definitely be sober, because you might end up in orange overalls. So for me, those are just some of the things.
It's also wild for me that he was suspended and he wasn't fired. It's so wild to me. Dennis, highlight, lowlights.
So the NCOP team, the DI team in the NCOP, there's 12 of us, and just to see how people have grown into their roles. So, if you remember last year, we had kind of half a year only. We've had now a full calendar year. And to see how our members have grown into their roles, but how they've managed to achieve so much, getting the Deputy President to commit to go to places and see things for himself through our line of questioning. So oral questions are big in the NCOP, and we're a very close, small little house.
And explain
what
that
are
a bit.
oral questions?
Explain that.
Oral questions. Okay. Yes. So we get a chance.
Before you lose us.
Yeah, please.
We get a chance to ask questions of the President, the Deputy President, and ministers. They get programmed in, and so we don't get to see them all the time. Certainly not as often as you guys get to see them in the National Assembly, but we have a chance to grill them in the House and ask them direct questions and highlight issues for them and say, what do you think about this, and what are you going to do about this, and why aren't you doing this, or you said you were going to do this, why didn't you? So we work really hard on our oral questions, and we do follow-up questioning as well. And through asking the right questions of the right people, we've had the Deputy President going to Mpumalanga, he's come to the Vaal. We've had the Water Minister going and seeing for herself issues that were raised in the Free State by our members. And just it goes back to what we were talking about just now, is that, private members bill, George was talking about. I was talking about the processing of the fiscal framework. If you know as an MP what tools that you have in your toolbox, okay, and how to use them correctly.
How to use them.
To achieve what you hope to achieve on behalf of the people that you're representing, is that you manage to get people out there. So watching our members using questions, using their debate speeches, and I mean, wow, the debates were hectic this year. But using those debate speeches to raise the right issues in Parliament and actually see proper concrete results coming as from that has been really fulfilling for me and something special, because I think we all know for anything to happen in government normally takes a huge amount of time.
That's true.
But we've seen some nice quick wins that we've had. Lowlights, I must be honest that it's been quite difficult to operate in an NCOP where we've had to be very dynamic with our program.
Okay.
So we have things cancelled at odd times and last minutes and so on. Part of it is a factor of having 3 budgets at the beginning of the year meant that the rest of our program was concertinaed into a much shorter space than normal. But I've got to be honest and say that the NCOP is not operating as it should be.
Okay.
I mean, I always say it's the less sexy house. People don't focus on the NCOP so much. But we're not doing
sexy,
much.
Dennis. Make it
I'm
sexy.
trying to make it sexy, but I mean, look what I got to work with.
No, some people like that, Dennis. Let's not hate on people.
Let's not go there.
People's preferences.
I'm trying to make the NCOP sexy, but I'm not being helped by the institution. The guys are
just buy a few bikinis. I'm sure it'll work.
You'll go viral, bro. You'll go viral.
And then use your tools correctly.
Shit. This is a fire episode.
I hope the camera doesn't pick up the blushing.
We see you already. We get set. George, what's your highlight in Lowlight?
Well, it's a bit boring. It's again very technical, but for me personally, the committee on the presidency that we established,
amazing stuff.
It's amazing.
Tell us about it. What is it?
Well, I mean, for the first time ever, the head of state, the president, is going to come and account to a committee in Parliament.
And for the first time, so it's never happened before?
It's never happened before, ever, I think. In the history of the country, where the head of state comes to Parliament to a committee that deals specifically with him, and he has to answer on policy matters once a year. Policy doesn't change that fast, so once a year is fine. The Director General, which is the most senior civil servant in the presidency and therefore in the entire government, has to come and account on that budget. They haven't up to now come to account in detail on that budget. So the president's entire budget has up to now been approved and sort of forgotten. Which, I mean, it's obvious why that's a problem. And then also the Speaker and the House or National Assembly itself has the power to refer certain things that might be of a bit of a problem to it. It was recommended by the Zondo Commission, obviously, because we had a lot of questions during the Zuma era that had to be answered, and there was no place to actually answer it. And it is a committee which I hope will stand the test of time and still be there many, many years after all of us have left, and it will ensure that I mean, if even the president is answerable to the people, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's a testament of how strong our democracy is.
More questions to the ministers as well.
Yes, more questions to the ministers. So
I think the DA gave about 32% overall of questions submitted, which is the bulk of questions submitted, which is a theme, because the DA seems to be the party that asks the most questions.
We hold our own accountable as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And our own can actually, they're eager to do it.
Yes.
I mean, our ministers are bring it on because they can actually think on their feet, and they're proud of what they're busy doing in their departments, although they've only been there a year and a half. And the fantastic part is now where we've included extra questions, so the original person asking the question can ask the last question as well. So if the minister didn't give an answer, you can go back and say, whoa, you didn't answer this this question, come back and tell us why aren't you answering this question?
Because they do that often, right?
They do that all
try and dodge
the time.
accountability.
So it's going to be much spicier. So
Yeah.
And we like spice.
Yeah.
yeah, we love spicy.
So,
Extra spicy.
So I mean that's an absolute highlight for me this year, because
And the Lowlights?
Parliament is. Well, hanging on for dear life when the wind went through that bloody dome.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Parliament
Tell us
needs
about
to
it.
George, you need
Parliament
to
needs to
explain
be
that, Dave.
No,
rebuilt.
please tell us about
Well,
it.
I
You need
mean,
to explain it.
despite the best efforts, and I must say, if it wasn't for our colleagues in Public Works, Parliament would probably still have had absolutely nowhere to sit. We couldn't carry on living in the CTICC or one of those places.
Sorry, George, just a reminder, why don't we have a parliament to sit in?
Well, the Parliament, obviously, as I hope most people know, got burned down, and it's now taken, 3 years to demolish half of it, and they're slowly starting to rebuild it. And then through the intervention of Dean McPherson as Public Works Minister, the dome was put up. But Parliament has to take care of it. It can't just come down to Dean McPherson having to look after the dome of Parliament. The Secretary to Parliament has to foot the bill also from their side, which they don't always do. And I'm not saying that he brought the wind, but that one specific
Listen,
windy day.
It's always the DA. The DA is blamed for everything,
No, it's
including
Cape
the
Town.
wind.
I must tell
Cape Town,
you,
it's
that
DA
thing-
run. The
that-
wind was a problem.
we
Yeah,
haven't.
blame the DA.
That was the quickest to find consensus. When that wind started blowing, everyone was like, "Listen, we're not going to fight over this,
Yeah.
and this, and this. We want to not die. We want to die a revolutionary death."
Yes, exactly.
that was
I mean, the MK is always wearing the fake military gear, like toy soldiers. Were the first ones to want to leave the dome because they're like, no, we want to die a revolutionary death. And I think it's the FF that said as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, you're scared of the wind. How the hell are you going to go die a revolutionary death anywhere else? And that dome ripped open at the top.
Oh,
and
it
they
did?
Yeah, it did.
Oh.
They wanted to run.
But on a serious note, I think it's time for Parliament to now be rebuilt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think an institution like Parliament deserves to be in a setting that is worthy of what it represents. Obviously, I mean, you want a cost-effective project, but Parliament is such an important institution in any country that I do think we deserve a little bit better than 3 years later sitting in a tent or attending on Zoom, where, I mean, most members of Parliament don't even attend. So I think that continues to be
Well, they leave the cameras
a
on.
sad
So
part
embarrassing.
of Parliament, is that we don't have our own house, we don't have our own place to sit, and I'm very much looking forward to one day soon being able to have that. Obviously, other issues are problems. I particularly was angered by the malnutrition thing. I think that was particularly depressing
It is so.
to hear, and it
is.
continues.
Yes, yeah.
In no civilized country should food be thrown away and children die
Go
of hunger.
starving, yes.
But I mean, those issues are around every corner. Along with all of those issues that we deal with, comes a highlight when you get to meet wonderful people doing wonderful things in their communities to address those issues. So, I would say those are definitely high point and a low point.
Dennis?
So my highlight, don't forget about me. I'm also here. I need to give my highlights and my lowlights.
Sorry.
You came to Parliament. That was
There's something,
definitely a highlight.
there was something that triggered my
Take what I'm
mind
gonna
quickly
say.
that I wanted to ask Dennis. Sorry about that. You now on my mind as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it
Go
should
for
be again front and center. So one of my biggest highlights is coming back to Parliament. I served in the legislature for about a year in the Gauteng legislature. And that was interesting. It was my first time serving in the Gauteng legislature. So I learned a lot. Shout out to my mentor, Mike Moriarty. He took me under his wing, and he really showed me, how, you're never too old to learn, and you're never too old to have a mentor. And I
Second
think,
best chief whip in the country.
okay.
Another one.
Shots fired.
And I think that for MPs and for politicians, wherever you sit, you should always try and learn more. You should never be to a point where you think you know everything and this is it for me. You're constantly learning because human beings are constantly growing. So that was one of my biggest highlights. Also, the fact that we're in the GNU is a huge highlight for me. It's an opportunity for the Democratic Alliance to show that we don't just have a lot to say, we actually have the work and we have capable people that are able to do incredible things. I mean, I look at our ministers, Leon Schreiber is killing it. Siviwe Gwachube is, so passionate about children and the education system and the work that she does. Dean McPherson, I mean, I can name all of them and the incredible work that they're doing. My low light is, South Africa's a soap opera, guys. Like, every second day something's happening.
It's a movie.
It's a lot. Like, we're tired now of everything that's happened this year.
It's a Shakespearean tragedy.
It really is. So
a movie.
So that's my low light. And obviously living in Johannesburg is a damn low light. We don't have water most of the time. Our city is falling apart.
Hold on, change is coming. Gogo is coming.
Change is coming. Change is
Helen's on the
coming.
way.
Helen is on the way, and things will change. But for this year, it was a massive low light for me. I mean,
but
just
look,
to watch
South
the
Africans,
city
as
go
much
down.
as we are in a movie, we're a very resilient and humorous nation. We laugh at our problems,
we are.
As much as like it's tough, but we just laugh at it. We go with it. We figure it out as we go.
We laugh so we don't cry backs.
Yeah.
We laugh so we don't cry.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only way to move forward on this. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's actually a very interesting, this thing that you mentioned about the GNU.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a year and a half, Dennis. And things have dramatically changed in the country. I mean, how do you feel about that? What do you see? What difference has the GNU come with, for South Africans specifically?
So, look, for me personally, it's been one heck of a steep learning curve. We've, had these different roles that have been thrust on us, and there's no kind of guideline book or there's no operating manual. So we've had some steep learning curves, but to see the positivity from so many South Africans because they can actually see that things are finally starting to change. When we were in a situation where you just had this one dominant party that was able to force down their will and it didn't matter. I mean, George spoke about it just now again with the private members bill when if anyone else came with an idea, it was kind of, we won't listen to that, but here's our idea. And there was no contestation of ideas. So you only had one perspective. And that's why Parliament is so important. As I said earlier, it's where different ideas and perspectives get discussed. So to be in a situation now where you've got the space where we as the DA have got real influence in the decisions that are getting made that affect people, and to see it actually taking shape. And you mentioned our ministers, Naz, and the impact that they're having. And it's just so damn lekker.
It is.
To see stuff starting to work. To look at the things that are happening. And I mean, like I mentioned, things often take a long time to come to the fore and so on. And so much of Parliament's work also happens behind the scenes and less seen. Change is slow in many instances. So there's no ways you can wave a wand and expect, the GNU's here, we're all going to be driving Ferraris tomorrow. Okay. Not going to happen.
Well,
with these slow changes that have happened. And I mean, again, I sit on the Finance Committee and watching a guy like Ashore having the impact, watching Ashore's impact on the department. It's just been so mind-blowing, and I've had front row tickets for that, so I've been thrilled with that.
Oh, you didn't share those with us, Dennis, but it's fine.
Well, you know what, you can come the extra few hours a week, you can come sit in my committee meetings anytime.
I mean, George, some of those achievements, what are those some of the achievements of our ministers, deputy ministers, the impact they've made in the GNU that are like a massive highlight to show South Africans on the difference that we're making in their lives?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's massive. It's we can have a whole podcast season just on what our ministers have been doing with only 6 portfolios. I have no doubt in my mind that entering the GNU was the right thing to do. I mean, we saw the employment stats recently. I mean, it was, I think, the 4th quarter that agriculture had a growth in jobs. One of the biggest contributors in jobs, I think, in the last quarter. So agriculture sector is doing its part for job creation. Leon Schreiber is the Minister of Innovation, in my view. He has
Mr. System offline, getting away.
I would have run so far if they gave me Home Affairs ever. It's not even funny.
He jumped straight in.
The work that Solly is trying to do to turn the almost completely sunken ship, not sinking ship, of the post office and all of that,
SABC.
and the SABC back. That's a massive job that anyone would run away from. The good work that Dean is doing with infrastructure, which will ultimately also result in many jobs for ordinary South Africans. The eradication of pit toilets in schools by severe wear. These are just
98% severe wear.
You're the education spokesperson, so you should know. That's one example from each of these portfolios, and the list is very long. You know yourself. We get presentations in caucus of an hour, 2 hours long, where the ministers just give us feedback on what it is that they've been doing. Check out the DA's social media pages on what is actually going on in those departments, the fantastic work that they've been doing, and it carries on and on and on and on. Now, if we can do that in 6 portfolios, can you imagine what we can do if we govern or we have a bigger portion of the government? But I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that entering the GNU was the right thing to do. Even if we make so small a difference or create one more job, it was worth it.
That's all that matters. That is all that matters.
Well, you contest elections to be able to get elected and to make that difference. Yes. It sounds cliche, because in every job that you have, whether you are a postman or a teacher or a doctor, you have to make a difference. But to make that difference, you have to have some form of government power. It's one thing and we know it's very easy to be in the opposition and shout and say, well, A, B, C, and D must happen.
Well, we've certainly learned that.
Exactly. There's a video of a small dog who's in front of a glass or sliding door, barking at a big dog on the outside. And as soon as the sliding door is open, the little dog just basically just wanders away. And it's just like that, Because opposition is like that. You're literally just barking. Yes. And then when it's like you're faced with it, like, actually, I'm
not saying to them.
So, and we had to learn the lessons, because, we were in opposition for so long. And all of a sudden, you in government, you have to learn these lessons. But I do think the DA has proven that we not only, as many people for many years said, which wasn't true, we made a massive impact over 30 years, but a lot of people say, the DA just bitches and moans. The DA actually, where we govern in these portfolios, have made a massive impact, and that is why political parties exist. That is why you vote for an effective political party, because ultimately with that power comes the privilege and the opportunity for that political party to make a real impact, and I think we've absolutely done so.
We're well prepared. That's why we had shadow ministers. We're well prepared to get into those. Being in opposition and be able to say, look, these are the portfolios that we must focus on. These are the things that we need to do, developing policies, strategies, so that if one day we get an opportunity to get into government, we go and we jump straight in. And I think that's what our ministers, in those 6 portfolios have done, in those 6 deputy portfolios have done. They must just give us the entire cabinet, man.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the DA made an excellent opposition. We held the executive accountable, and we really spoke to the issues of the people. But we're also making an excellent government. And a shameless plug for everybody watching at home. We did do podcasts with the ministers. So if you're interested to hear a little bit more about what they've done and the work they're doing in their departments, just scroll down on the page,
a few months back. They've done so many more.
That's true. But if you want a background in it, go and watch our previous episodes where we speak to ministers, but we also speak to mayors and mayoral candidates on what we do in government as well as in opposition. Go ahead, Dennis.
I just want to, before we get off the topic, it is the last show of the year, it's the festive show, but I just want to give a shout out as well to all of the committee chairpersons that have got their positions as a result of the GNU and the fantastic oversight work that has been done by the guys that we have in the various committee chairs.
Tell us more. What is a chairperson?
Okay, so I mean, everyone says that what you see on the floor of the House, that's kind of for show, and the real work, the trite statement is that committees are the engine room of Parliament.
I would agree with that.
That's where trite sayings become trite because they're true. But the point is that's where most of the real discussion and the contestation of ideas happens, and that's where things get ironed out before they come to the plenary sessions, the big sittings of the parliamentary houses. Those meetings need to be chaired by someone, and that chairperson often dictates the direction of that the discussions go in, and kind of manages the flow of it as well. So that role is incredibly important in shaping the way that we hold our ministers to account, shaping the way that we get our communication across to decision makers in the executive. And so that chairperson role is incredibly important in terms of setting the agenda and making sure that things kind of continue to their best effect, and you can achieve the most that you have. And we have a number of committee chairs that are now DA chairs because it's a government of national unity.
Gotcha.
We've got the deputy speaker. We've got the House chairperson of the National Assembly. We've got the House chairperson.
Yeah,
in
you
the
as the House chair.
the best looking House chair in the NCOP.
Just need a bikini, but yeah.
And, you told me use my tools, Bex. Come on. But I mean, the point is using these different positions to make sure that we're able to put the DA's best foot forward on behalf of the people that we're here to represent. And
So
that's the key.
genuine essence,
we're working for our people, our voters.
Now, I want to touch on this a little bit because, when we were in opposition, we said we have to hold the executive accountable without fear, without favor. And now we find ourselves in the GNU.
But we still say that.
I wanted to get into that. Can you tell us how, roping into your role of chairperson, how then do we hold the executive accountable?
So, I mean,
Especially the DA executive.
the fact is, I mean, the minister, when they come, they have to answer questions.
Yeah.
And being held to account is never comfortable. And I mean, back when I was in local government, I remember the mayor, he who shall not be named. But he always used to say, going back and giving account to people is always uncomfortable. And it must be, okay? Because you've got to get out there and you've got to be able to say, this is what I did. I took your money, voter or resident. I took your money that I've been given, and this is how I spent it. And if you haven't spent it properly, it gets really uncomfortable. So you've got to stand there and scratch your head and go, this is what I'm doing. Now, if we are able to ensure that those agendas are put forward, that we're asking the right questions, and it doesn't matter if it's a DA minister, they've still got to do the right thing. They've still got to be able to account for, this is what I did. And it's so much easier when you've got a DA minister because they tend to do the right thing. So you ask them a question and they've got the answer, and that gives you that lack of feeling again. But and believe me, where a DA minister is not delivering on their mandate, we also got to let them know, hey, we're not so happy with that.
Yeah.
So there's ways and means to have conversations, but it doesn't matter what colour T-shirt the minister wears on a weekend. When they're there in front of the committee, they're still the minister and they're still accountable, and you as the chairperson have to fight that battle.
Absolutely. George, when I asked this question, you were like, yes. Tell me why you got so passionate about it.
No, because I mean, for so many years we have seen the government sort of, especially in Parliament, protecting the executive.
Patsy questions. Yeah.
It's completely rendered Parliament irrelevant.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. You get sweetheart questions to ministers. It wastes everyone's time, and it doesn't represent the voters. If you can't stand up to your own when they're doing the wrong thing, then there's a huge problem. It completely renders Parliament irrelevant, and we should not fall into that trap. But our ministers themselves actually say to our members, hold us accountable.
Yep.
They relish the opportunity to be able to go to Parliament because and answer those questions, because they don't have to defend corruption. They can actually contest ideas and put ideas on the table. And you can see they're excited by the opportunity to actually share their ideas and have a debate. And they thrive under those circumstances. You can absolutely see by the way a minister approaches the accountability process, whether that minister knows what they're doing or not. If a minister dodges that opportunity, you know that there's something wrong. If a minister jumps into that with passion and it really knows what they're talking about, then you know you've got a good one. And I must say, our ministers have I don't know how they do it. I think it is very, very. It's still a very daunting and scary process to have to go through. You don't know what people are going to ask you. You have to be on top of your portfolio.
You have to know what's happening.
And I mean, they've been doing absolutely brilliantly because they do know what they're doing, and they're excited and passionate about it. So if you can in the process portray the quality of ministers you also have, why wouldn't you take the opportunity to say, well, let's hold them to account.
Absolutely.
Let's hear what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because what they have to say is actually something for us to be proud of.
Yeah. And there are people on the other side that are holding those ministers accountable, George.
Yeah, but
so we've got
this opposition.
Yeah,
we
there
don't
is
have
no opposition in Parliament.
No, the opposition is
it's weak. Let's be straight up. It's weak opposition.
No, it's useless.
It really is.
And I don't want to be mincing my words. And I mean, yeah, sorry. Like I said, they're toy soldiers.
Yeah,
but
it's really difficult. So sorry to break you. I just want to come on point that you made, George and Dennis, is we don't want to be like the ANC. That's first step. We have to be better than what we criticize. And if we are going to do, but we need to raise the bar and we need to raise the floor, because let's be honest, we're starting from the bottom, from the depth.
Now we're here.
And now we're here. And one of the conversations that I've had with Siviwe is that, yes, I'm the DA spokesperson for basic education and she's the minister, but I will hold her accountable because I am not there representing the DA. I am representing the people of South Africa. And the people of South Africa and the children of South Africa deserve an education system that not only gives them education, but also gives them an opportunity to take themselves out of their circumstances and give them a better life and give them dignity. Because that's anywhere in the world. Education is the benchmark, is the cornerstone of a society. And one of the things, that's why I was loving what you were saying, George, is I'm so proud of our ministers. Yeah. Because what did Siviwe say to me? 100% Naz. I wouldn't want you any other way. You have to hold me accountable because we are not the ANC. And we are bringing good governance. And that means that my job as an MP is to hold her accountable. And she really does. And her performance is incredible. And I would suggest for people to watch some of our portfolio committee meetings and see how she knows. I mean, any question that came her way, she had an answer because she's involved in her portfolio. She doesn't run it from an air-conditioned office wearing Burberry.
98% of pit toilets eradicated.
Absolutely.
That speaks volumes.
Yes.
Yeah. And after how many years of sickness?
Too many children dying in pit toilets. Other reforms that she's brought, like the new national nutrition plan model that she's bringing, so that more children can be fed at schools. The priorities on early childhood development, the mass Bana Pele registration. I mean, we can sit here the whole day.
Sounds like we're also in a committee meeting on...
she's definitely involved there. But George, the scorecard, because there's people like Naz is one of those people that are holding our ministers accountable. Yes. How does a scorecard fare in Parliament in terms of our questions, in terms of debates and issues that we drove in comparison to to the rest?
Well, I think the DA, although we have a fifth of the seats in the House, we ask, as a governing party, about a third of the questions. You have the specific stats in our parliamentary review document, which is being released as well, that sums all of that up. But we ask way more questions than our proportion of the seats in the House. Compare it to a party like the ANC that has 40% of the seats. They ask about 9% of the questions. So
shocking.
also
shocking.
just feeds into what we've been saying, that as a governing party, we still fulfill our parliamentary role. But I mean, we by far still ask the most questions in Parliament. We obviously motions and statements and so forth. I'm not going to bore everyone by explaining that. It's other than saying it's a mechanism through which you bring issues from your constituency, from the public to Parliament, and focus Parliament's attention on those. Those are set formulas of that every party gets proportionally. We never miss an opportunity to bring issues from our communities to Parliament. But where it simply relies on how hard MPs work, the DA does proportionally much more than our proportion in the House. We used to do it as an opposition party, but as a governing party, we still do it, and it absolutely shows that the DA has not stopped to hold the executive to account when we became a government.
That is such an important point, George. I was watching recently, because I don't have enough to do, so I was watching a video of the National Assembly sitting, and
You must have really had nothing to do.
yeah, no, but it was when your committee got passed, George. I had a keen interest, the committee on the presidency. I had a keen interest because I think it was just the most phenomenal achievement. But so I was sitting watching, and when it comes time for declarations, so many of the small popcorn parties, the little 1 and 2 seat parties in Parliament, the Speaker or whoever the presiding officer is just goes through the list, and no one bothers to stand up because they're not there. They're never in the House.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's why we need that coalition board.
Absolutely. And then suddenly there was a declaration opportunity, and the DA member was a bit slow to turn their microphone on. And it was with incredulity that it was the House chairperson that was sitting there, was like, DA, don't you have a declaration? It's like, this never happens. The DA always has their say. But it's because our guys use their opportunities.
Yes.
But this is exactly what Chief Justice Raymond Zondo said in his commission, is that Parliament was not doing their duty of oversight. And because the ANC just fell into this pattern of, well, we're here to protect our executive. The DA has come into the GNU with a different perspective, that we are here to protect the people that put us here. And exactly like you said, Naz, you remember the fact that you are deployed here by the voters, not deployed here as a card of the ANC to cover the other people's backsides.
We have a vested interest in making sure that they are successful, because if they are successful, it benefits the entire country. But we also have a constitutional oath to uphold, and we take it incredibly seriously.
Now, Bax, I want to ask you, since the GNU, how has that changed how Parliament works? Has it changed how Parliament works at all?
Completely. Everything is up for discussion. It's no longer that we're going to rubber stamp and pass what the ANC tells us to do. But every single thing is a discussion. And the ideas that we have in the DA are taken into consideration, because we do it in the interest of making sure that people's lives are changed for the better. I mean, like George is saying. So everything has changed in Parliament. The way in which we hold people accountable, like we said, we hold even our own minister accountable through written questions or oral questions.
Tell me what's written questions.
Written questions is basically when you ask a minister, when are you getting rid of these pit toilets? How many of them exist? And then they tell you, and it's you being able to hold them accountable. We gave you X amount of money, and you said you will build this. Has this thing been built? Right? So it's part of those things that we've got a responsibility of holding them accountable. And everything is not just put to a vote now because they know they've got the majority, but they have to come and discuss, Oh, we need a committee of the presidency. Yes, we do. And these are the reasons for that. Okay, let's negotiate. What does that look like? And then it comes to the House, right?
That's interesting.
We need, to prioritize malnutrition. What does that look like? How many kids are affected by this? How can we then rechannel the budget to be able to deal with this? And it's not, well, what idea are you coming with? Oh, you want this? DA? No, we're not going to vote against it. So everything has evolved for us to have genuine discussions about ideas that will affect South Africans. And I think that has completely changed Parliament for the better. And we've utilized those mechanisms, like George is saying, more than any other political party. We ask the most questions in the House. When you go listen to our debates, we go there not just to tell you what the problem is, but to provide a solution based on evidence-based research and policy outcomes that we have in the DA. And just because we go see things for ourselves. Helen Suzman used to say, if you want to understand a problem, don't sit in an air-conditioned boardroom, go see it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we just recently now, in my own constituency, opened up a bridge,
Yes,
you know, where
I saw
people
that.
used to cross a wobbly bridge, die in that bridge, and then have to carry their coffins over the same bridge that they died in, you know. Within 10 months, Department of Public Works, after Dean became minister in South African National Defence Force, built that bridge. Now people can cross to go to schools, go to clinics, and all of that. So
That's awesome.
that would have never happened if the ANC just said, no, we're not interested, we're moving forward. But today, we have to make sure we have a discussion on ideas. And no matter who it comes from, especially partners in the GNU, in the DA and the ANC, you have to listen to what we say because we care about South Africans and that's why we do what we do.
Dennis, what would the scorecard look like in the NCOP caucus?
So we work quite differently once again. Obviously, that's why it's a different house. And but certainly the DA asks by far, and I think we're sitting slightly above the 33% in terms of the percentage of questions that get asked by DA members. And man, the debates have been through the roof. So just on the budget debates that we had last or halfway through the year, between the 12 of us, now unfortunately one member was taken out of the budget debate cycle because his wife passed away. Paul Swart's wife passed away, which left us one person short. 11 of us left. I preside quite a bit, so I don't get to participate as much in debates as I like, so now we're down to 10. And there were over 60 speeches that had to be delivered in a month, in the space of a month.
In a month?
60 ideas.
So between...
Yesterday.
So, and I mean, as Bax says, you can't just come with a simple speech, you know, you've got to put some thought into it, otherwise you get what Dr. Ivan Meyer calls macaroni without cheese. And so you know, it takes a lot of effort. So no, the scorecard has been good, and I'm so proud of my guys, the way everyone has stepped up, covered for each other, made sure we carry each other through. You know, because there's a smaller group, no one gets the luxury of only focusing on one topic. We all have numerous departments to look after. So you got to be on top of your game. Lots of reading and so on. And no, the scorecard's looking good. I'm very chuffed. I'm waiting for my end of year bonus.
Teamwork makes
Chief
the
Whip.
dream work.
Well, Dennis is being modest. I think the people who work the hardest in Parliament are the NCOP.
I would completely agree with that.
It's what, 12 people in the DA's instance doing the same amount of work that 87 members, 87 hard-working members are doing. You sometimes can't get to everything.
Include the caveat.
They really work very hard.
Okay, let's play a round of quick fire.
It's time to pack our bags so that I can go in my shorts very soon.
Yes, get December. It's December.
I cannot wait.
And we are going on leave, Chief Whip, right? Like, you're not going to phone us and be like, come back to us.
Maybe he's going to be like, if you need a substitute, I am indeed
How do you
available.
know?
Oh, no.
All right.
You're hopeful. I'm hopeful, George. I'm hopeful.
The
Okay, I'm going to be asking the questions.
dialed is not available at present. Let's try again later.
Literally, I'm going to
I know
watch
where
him
you
call
live.
me. I'm going to watch him call me.
Mine will be on D&D. You won't even go through. It'll be like user busy. Every time you try and go.
Okay.
Business.
All right. I'm asking the questions. You have to answer it. Okay. Quick fire. So I ask a question. You give an answer. Okay. Cool. Number one. What is your favorite festive meal, Bax?
So I'm from the Bundus. We slaughter. Absolutely slaughtered meat. Hopefully they're not watching SAPS. Anyway, slaughtered meat. Just
your
favorite meal. sheep, cow,
On the braai.
slaughtered on the braai stand, cooked in the black pot.
Okay,
That's
potjie.
basically.
Okay, Dennis.
Gammon cooked by my wife. I just don't know why we only
That's
do
so
it over
cute.
Christmas. Gammon should be on the menu every single day.
Why does your wife do the cooking? Are you lazy?
No. She does it better than me. I do the rest.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
I do
That
the
was a good
turkey.
comeback. Solid
I do the
comeback.
turkey.
Solid comeback. That was good.
George.
Christmas is about the pudding. I don't have three chins for no reason, so I would say the pudding.
Which pudding is it?
one?
Oh, okay.
Which one? Fruity?
Some fruit salad.
Next question.
Okay,
Alright.
next question.
Yes,
I'm
and
gonna
yours,
start
what's
with
yours?
George.
What's yours?
No, I'm asking the question.
no.
You can't claim that you have to answer the question in the previous rounds and you skip this one.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, I was born, I was raised and born Muslim, so we don't really like have a Christmas thing because we celebrate Eid. But what I do, I do really enjoy during the December period is that I can eat anything. And I'm like super chill. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, cool, I'm gonna have biryani for breakfast.
Yes, T.
Yeah,
We call it umbego. Okay.
No accountability in this.
No accountability in December. It's fine.
None
All right.
whatsoever. We'll go to the gym in January. Okay,
Yes.
next question. I'm starting with you, George. Yes. What is your favorite Christmas or festive movie?
I am the Grinch. I don't do Christmas movies. I hate them.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, I don't know whatever is on. They really irritate. It's
Hallmark movies.
It's like the Christmas songs in the supermarket. It's just so no.
Mariah Carey is defrosting. She's defrosting as we speak. Dennis?
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Die
Die
Hard.
Hard. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
How is
no.
that a Christmas movie, Dennis?
Yippee-ki-yay. I'll leave it there.
Oh my God. That was so 1946. Gosh, Dennis. My
What do you think? Come on.
Listen, if we are my 1Ks, they must be 0Ks.
I don't know. Zero. I don't know. Not comma. Not no. I don't know.
And you, Bax, what's your favorite movie?
Look, I've got a little son. So when I was a kid, I was exposed to Home Alone. So Home Alone, I mean, we actually watched it last year. So Home Alone is my go-to.
Okay.
But generally, like, I don't necessarily watch Christmas movies. I'm always in
Watch Die Hard.
Yeah. Die Hard. That's whenever I see Die Hard, my brain
But
says
my
Die Hard.
favorite that I always watch and repeat is Law Abiding Citizen. Any time of the year. That's my favorite.
Oh, I don't know that movie. Cool, I'll watch it this
I
December.
will watch it.
I wanted
I will-
to say that, but I was too ashamed.
I will watch it. No,
Tell me, I promise you, it's not about law abiding. It's
Okay.
the total opposite.
Okay.
Just go watch it. Because I am a law abiding citizen. But
Yeah, my favorite movie is The Grinch. Whether it's the cartoon one or whether it's the one with Jim Carrey, I love it. And you know, when I was young, I was always like, oh, The Grinch. Then I grew up and I realized I've turned into The Grinch. Yeah, I feel like when The Grinch feels those emotions, I'm like, bruh, I get you. I feel it too. Okay. Last question. I'm going to start with Dennis. Who deserves coal and not a present? Politician edition.
Geez, there's so many. I mean, it'll take one of those Eskom trucks that deliver apparently to the coal stations. Eh? Wow, who deserves coal? There's a number of ministers, but I think I'm going to give it to the chair of the NCOP.
she's new, yeah.
Rufugwe Mchweni-Tsipane. She can have
Okay.
a lump of coal from me this year.
She's getting a lump of coal. Okay. Baxolile.
yo, there's so many, guys. But I want to give it to JZ, eh?
Oh, yeah?
Let me tell you, that guy will shuffle you like worse than his own underwear. Like, I don't know how many changes it's done to the MK, but he's just frustrated. He's just frustrated us. I mean,
It's true.
he's just basically brought a party. These guys have sent people to Russia. They've done so much.
Are they back from Russia?
I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
they've just done a mishmash of things. There's like a lot of people there. So he's getting coal, and his entire party and his toy soldiers. That's
Okay.
what I'm giving coal to.
George?
Oh, Liam Jacobs. I never got to give him a farewell gift, so he's on my Christmas list for
Just
coal.
add Gayton as well.
I was going to say.
No, Gayton's probably getting a proper gift for taking him.
High five! Thank you so much. Listen, I was going to say the same thing. You know, for me, identity politics never works, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. We are here representing everybody. We don't only represent a few people. And to use the pain and the trauma of a group of people for your own benefit. There's nothing that I have more disrespect for. You are not a proper leader if you are using people's pain and trauma for your own political gain. What true leaders do is that they celebrate diversity and they celebrate where we come from and the different paths that we have, exactly like in the DA. So not only does the PA get a lump of coal, they also need to...
They also got Liam Jacobs.
They did indeed. And so good luck to them having two people at a row, but what an incredible event.
All right, guys, pack your bags, put your swimming costumes in there. Don't be Vusikat Matlala with that Woolies bag. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube, go watch on our different platforms and listen to our different platforms. This is the last episode of the year.
Yes.
Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, some jingle bells. Sign out when we peace out. We out. Have a good one.
Cheers,
Peace
everyone.
out.